Good morning to you, our audience. Ted and Ed TV channel welcome each of you to our weekly Saturday broadcast where we give insightful views on economic, political, world, and environmental issues concerning how money connects those matters. Our hosts, Mr. Ted Harvey Sr. and Mr. Edward Bishop III, are now taking each of you into our world of money and its value, along with the evils that come from the greed of hoarding financial power. He that controls the gold controls the important decisions in this world.
And taking care of his baby and his girlfriend, but Ed, I'm telling you, man, these young boys, and the one I was talking to yesterday, 28, and I had to put the scriptures on him, bro. I put the Lord on him. I say, look here, man. And I just started ministering to him, really, to be honest with you, because he was just so depressed, man. It's almost like, he texted me, man, it's almost like he was going to commit suicide or something. I'm serious. It was just that bad. And, and then after I got through talking to him, about an hour later, he said, just seemed like everything is better because, we prayed together and everything. I prayed for him and everything. And he sort of, he said, thanks, Unc. I feel a whole lot better now, and I think things going to work out, and all that, and, but I'm just saying, man, these young boys, that's walking around here, man, they going through. Even, like you said, some of your grandkids and stuff like that, especially the males, they're going through, man. They see all this mess, man, that's going on. All these people walking down, minding their own business, police stop them and crap like that. This one little boy, it was on Facebook. He was walking with his girlfriend, minding his business in the retail store, bro. And the police stopped and talking about, oh, you look like you got a warrant. Let me check. Who's your name? What's your name? Blah, blah, blah. Said, what are you messing with me for? I'm going here shopping. And the police looked like he was high, man. The police looked like he was drunk. I'm serious. He just wanted, and he must have saw his girlfriend. They didn't show a picture of his girlfriend. His girlfriend was taking the picture, video. And she must have been nice looking and attractive, and he might want to try to show his authority over him, But
it's kind of ironic, man, that we're talking about these young boys and stuff and everything, because most of the things that I had for this morning, it is dealing with these kids and stuff and everything. And I don't know what caused it, but I had a chance to, I go to YouTube a lot, and I be doing my work and everything, uploading my videos and everything and stuff to it. And sometimes I'll see some things going on, and I'll listen to this one of these radio shows with these people on there who are stars out there who in the media or whatever. I watched Kevin Hart and Tiffany Haddish did an interview and stuff yesterday. Well, it wasn't yesterday, it was the day before yesterday, and they had it on. And the one thing that, and I want to talk about that, but Jennifer Lewis is on. And Jennifer has been in the media industry and stuff, in the TV and movies and all that stuff and everything for a long time, and now she's on Blackish.
Oh yeah, I know who she is.
Yeah, she's a grandmother. She's a grandmother. Yeah, she's a grandmother on Blackish now, and she's got a book out. It's called Mother of Black Hollywood, and she's out promoting that thing. She's been promoting it since last year in November.
Right.
And
I see.
Yeah, the book, man, the book she put out, man, is just, people have been talking about it, man. It's just awesome, man. She's promoting this daggone thing, and she's mostly talking about kids and stuff nowadays, these millenniums, and what they're going through and everything. And she's trying to let them know that she went through hell, and back, because there are a lot of things that they are going through and stuff now and everything that most of us, because the parents and stuff or the grandparents don't have time for them. They need some mentorship, and it's not happening. she talked about these ball players and stuff out there who some of them are refusing to get down on their knees and everything and do something about our children getting killed. And she was telling them, say, hey, you guys need to get out there and do something. And she started telling, I guess in the book, she mentions about her activity or political activity and stuff from when her school, her high school and everything went out on a walkout because of Angela Davis. And Angela Davis, man, a long time ago, big fro.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, where she would tell them how she was active, politically active and everything and stuff, even back then when she was in high school. So there's nothing wrong with them becoming politically active and everything, understanding that sometimes you just have to stand up for what you think is right. And she was on this one show, because I watched about 3 or 4 of them. She was on this one show and she was telling them, the parents and stuff. She said, I don't know what's going on. She said, my mom used to beat me. She said, I still got whaps on my thighs and everything from being whooped by my mother and stuff, he said. But that's how they dealt with us and stuff back in those days. But she was telling the parents out there, she said, don't beat your children. Don't whip them. Don't beat them, because it's not right. It's giving them a story and stuff that it's okay to use violence and everything to control your children. And all you're doing is teaching them violence, and they're going around doing the same thing. And she was talking about how her mom used to beat her and everything, and then she would go to school and be a bully. and all that and everything was, had an effect upon her. So the things that we do with our children and stuff today and everything is going to affect them down the road.
Absolutely.
And we don't need to teach them to beat their children, because they're going to turn around and beat other people and everything. And she was talking about she was bipolar and didn't even know it for a long time, and how she used sex and everything to deal with her bipolarism. So she was a sex addict. And I mean, man, she got graphic, but she was she said she was addicted to dick. Oh man, I hope our audience and stuff don't look at this and everything and say, hey, we saw, it's kind of nasty, Mr. Bishop, that you said that do is talking about that. But it was truly informative and everything. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that and stuff and everything, because they were asking her about they had a show that they were going to put on. And the writer and the executive producer and everybody wanted to put the show on. But ABC and Disney, when they found out that the show was coming on, they told them that they couldn't put it on. So they had to cancel that show and everything, but it got out. I guess some of the cast members and everything who were doing the thing and everything, they thought it was great that it was going on to be part of their show. And they told them, no, we're not going to deal with that. And that was this thing that they're doing as far as kneeling down in the stadiums and everything, and how all of these black men and stuff who are out there on the field of play and everything. And she was talking about how they are gladiators. And gladiators and stuff and everything, they are paid to perform, but they also are paid to have a mind of their own and to be able to deal with things that are going on and stuff in today's society. And someone needs to bring this to the forefront. And so who perfect people to do that, or persons to do that out there, individuals out there to do it, than the athletes, because they're out there on the field of play and the people are out there watching them. And even though a lot of people have taken that protest and everything and just denigrated it and everything and made it look ugly, it's really not ugly. And they need to make sure that people know this. And to do that, they need to open their mouths and say something, because our children are getting killed, man. They're getting killed in the street. Just like you're saying, a young man who got the police stopped him. If the young man did anything wrong or made any move that he didn't even know was going to cause a problem, he could have been killed, man. That man could have pulled out his gun and shot him. Bam! I had to shoot him because it looked like he was going for a gun, you know. And these things have happened, you know. And our children out there, you know, involved in this stuff, and something needs to be done. But
Yeah,
nobody's speaking up about it.
well, people speaking up on it is just that they're not getting a real-to-real news. You know, it's not that newsworthy, and to them, you know, at this point, you know, at first, you know, they was out there and they was telling people, and they just like they just want eyeballs. You know, the media is something else. You know, they promote whatever is going to give them revenue, you know, and the advertising dollars, you know, when they see things. But, you know, when I worked in the newspaper business selling advertising, and I used to sell advertising, and I would talk to some of these presidents and vice presidents or the Department of Marketing and all that. And, you know, this particular newspaper I worked for had on Sundays, you know, the readership, you know, the distribution is over 1 million copies. And the readership, they calculate, you know, over 5 million or more. And so when you go in there, you know, you sort of kind of confident that, you know, hey, they got to have this because this is the only game in town, you know. And so the bottom line, the point I'm trying to make is that what the object, or I would say opposition, what they say, well, some of that readership is no good. And what they mean is, you know, if you look at the map of that readership and where they're, you know, where they might have 200,000 here and another 200,000 there, and then you got 600,000 there and what have you. They know the geographics or the demographics. And what this particular paper did was they said at that time, we're talking like early 80s, at that time, $75,000 was the average household. Well, back then, you know, $75,000 was, you know, average household is a lot of money, medium household. So, but they say a lot of that is just dead readership. You know, as far as ain't nobody gonna buy no cars here, ain't nobody gonna buy no furniture here, ain't nobody gonna, you know, whatever, you know, and they give you this excuse. And so, you know, I would have to come back to something else. But the reason why I bring that up is the same thing when it comes to eyeballs on the TV. The people that are watching these things and you look at the advertising, what they're advertising drugs, medication. And when you see these types of things, it sort of kind of depresses you when you see all this negativity and stuff like that. So it sort of kind of depresses people. So it's almost like a game, you know, like, hey, let's give them garbage or let's not talk about the real story or the real issue or deal with the real issue. Let's give them garbage. And then therefore, you know, hey, and then the advertisers say, hey, you need this for relaxation. You need this to sleep. You need this, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it's all a game, you know, as far as trying to keep a certain population or a certain group of people that are weak-minded to do these things. And then they end up being depressed or using the wrong kind of medication. And it's too bad because we have the power, man. We have the power. You know, we got the power of the vote. We got the power of the streets, you know, as far as you have the power of the dollar. People can do all kinds of things to protest. You know, you can not buy certain things, you know, and then that affects their dollar because, see, we live in a corporate democracy now. Corporations, in my mind, takes over all of this stuff. You know, the corporations, if you look at the top 10 corporations as far as retail, you know, and we're talking many hundreds of companies that's ran by only 10 companies. So they control what you eat, what you buy in the grocery stores, all of that, you know. So it's a what do they call it, plutocracy, and what I guess that's how you pronounce it. But what they're doing is they have democratized, or I would say monetized, all these different products, and they're owned by only 10 companies, and these companies are running the show, and they're heading the price. So once you was paying $1.50 for this, now you're paying $2.50 for it. And nobody else is selling that same product that you like. So you ain't got no choice but pay the $2.50 now. You can't go nowhere else because it's monopolized. It's already taken. It's already only by one person. So you can't say, well, I'm gonna go down the street and I'm gonna get it over here. No, that same company is the one sold it to that retail store again, and it's the same price. So they control everything.
Man, that's you're hitting on a subject stuff, Ted, that I didn't think that we were going to get to right now. But we want to welcome our audience and stuff and everything to our show. It's kind of a late welcome because there was I started this telecast and stuff about 15 minutes ago when we were talking about our youth and our black men and what's going on with them. So, Ted, welcome to our early morning show. Most of the people who are going to see this are going to see it in recorded version because we are doing it kind of early. So we do know that the recorded version is going to be out there, so people are going to see it no matter what. But getting back to what you were talking about, there are so many things that touches upon that subject that you were talking about. I was been reading about our Health and Human Services federal department and stuff that is controlling healthcare costs. And they are allowing the drug companies to charge what they want for drugs, for medicine.
That's right.
And a lot of the private companies are negotiating drug prices and everything with these drug companies, but the federal government, for some reason or another, does not want their the people, the states and stuff who are receiving Medicare to negotiate drug prices. They're saying that, well, we've already negotiated a price and a discount, and the states and stuff can't do that because we've already done this. And they really haven't. They really haven't negotiated anything and stuff for them, because what the drug company and stuff has done have told them is, okay, we're going to give you guys everybody who's on Medicare gets a 5% discount, but then they turn around and they jack the price of the medicine up. So really, you're not getting the 5%, and the states and stuff know that. Yep. So a lot of these states, man, there's about 17 or 18 states now who are trying to negotiate drug prices and stuff with these pharmaceutical companies, and the Health and Human Services Department and everything are filing lawsuits against them and telling them that they can't do this because the federal government is already taking care of that, and they don't have any right to do that. And if they do, they're funding, the Medicare funding. So it's going on, man. Everybody is out there with their hands in each other's pockets, individuals' pockets, and everything. And we don't have any opportunity to really fight this and be able to do something about it. And now we're seeing that some of these states, even, and I'm not saying these are blue states, these are some red states like Oklahoma. They're trying to do it. They're telling the federal government that they want to negotiate these prices and everything. And the federal government say, hey, you can't do that, and we're not going to allow you to do it. So they're at a crossroad now.
States' rights.
Well, if states' rights only happens and stuff when the federal government allow them to have states' rights. So the Republicans,
what you're telling me is, what you're telling me is that these congressmen have, well, okay, I read a story. Let me just say this, and this is relative to
Now let's get back now. It's not the
I know
congressmen.
it's the same thing.
It's not the congressmen who are doing it. This is the Trump administration. Go ahead.
Well, okay, now, but what I'm saying is that Medicare wanted to buy medication in bulk.
Mm-hmm.
This congressman who rebuked against it and then convinced his other congressmen not to allow them to do this because they wanted to buy medication in bulk, which would have made it whole lot cheaper because they could have got 1 million pills for whatever, and it would cut it in probably 3/4 of the price. And they said, no, that's not going to happen because the reason why this guy the lobbyist was lobbying him, and he said he fought against it. And guess what happened? He resigned, and they gave him a $2 million job.
That's normal, man, in the swamp of Washington, D.C. Most of those congressmen and stuff who are retiring now,
how do they live with themselves?
They got jobs waiting on them. Well, it's money, man.
No, I'm just saying, man. Don't they have a conscience? How do they live with themselves, man? When they know these
the conscience stops, man, at the pocketbook.
So you trying to tell me that a person who gets a $2 million job and the medication company is going to make probably a $500 billion profit, gouging Medicare or the Medicare recipients and other people buying these medications that to help them along, and he he has no conscience.
He has no conscience, Ted, because his constituents are not forcing him to have a conscience.
This is unbelievable, man. It's like
they're not. If his constituents aren't rising up and saying anything, then he's going to do what he thinks that his constituents and stuff want them to do, and also because it's putting money and stuff into his pocket. So if he can put money in his pocket and his constituents aren't saying anything, then he feels that it's okay.
So obviously he did the data. What I mean by that is that he did the research. He said, I have so many people are in voting age from 18 to 40. Well, between 18 and 40, most people are not taking any kind of medications. Majority of the people in his geographical area are probably not taking. And then he said, well, I have so many. Well, how many people I got that are seniors? That's probably what he asked in his staff. They do the research, boom, boom, boom. This is what you have. And these are the people. So it's only like maybe, I'm talking about like if he got like 5 million people under his jurisdiction, and he only have like 100,000 or 200,000 people that's doing that. They do all that kind of research and spend that money for that. And he said, well, this is not going to hurt me because majority of my people I'm helping because they might need roads or they might need this and they need low interest rate loans or whatever, whatever he can bring to the table to his area. So he calculated that and said that I can fight this, then that way I'll get my $2 million gig. That's where I see it. I might be wrong on that.
Well, however you justify putting money in your pocket. And it's easy to justify that because, like I said, if he can do that and nobody rises up and says anything, then he thinks that, well, nobody's saying anything about it, they're not rising up, so it's okay for me to do it.
Of course,
and that's how they justify it. They're justifying this.
His constituents are not going to rise up because they're not even using it. I don't take that mess anyway. I don't care.
Absolutely. You got that. And if you look back, Ted, that was the reason and stuff why when Obama in 2008 and 9 was dealing with the Affordable Care Act, when he was first trying to enact this whole thing, that was the narrative and stuff by that, because they brought in the insurance industry and everything. And in insurance, they're pill counting. They're counting and say, well, can we bring in enough money to take care of the old folks who are going to be a drag on our money, and have the young folks down there. So that was a reason and stuff why they enacted that cost that they were charging people during tax time. If you didn't have insurance, healthcare insurance, you had to pay a penalty, a $600 penalty and stuff, and they recouped that penalty and stuff during tax time. And they did that because there were so many young people and stuff who, just like you said, I'm not going to get sick, so I don't have to worry about it. I don't need this insurance and everything. I only need it when I get older. But they needed to have people and stuff to be inside the system so they can so that extra money that's coming in can take care of the people who are going to eventually get sick. And that was a big thing, man, when he was doing that, and negotiating that the healthcare program, and it caused a lot of headaches and stuff and everything, and that penalty and stuff, man. All them young voters out there, people in their 20s and 30s, and some of them in their 40s and stuff, thought, wait, I don't need this medical insurance. I'm going to need it and stuff when I get sick. And even today in private industry and stuff, where these companies and stuff give their employees health coverage and everything, most of them don't get the premium health coverage. They get the HMOs because they're cheaper, because they're not going to get sick. So they said, oh, well, we get the HMO and we don't have to pay as much money. If we do get sick, we just go in and they'll take care of us and we don't have to worry about anything. And then after they get into their 50s and 60s and they figure that they're going to start getting, instead of getting a HMO, they're going to get a preferred plan, which pays a lot more when they do get sick. So it's something that goes on and stuff out there in our industry and everything. So we have to figure out a way. We can't blame the congressmen all the time for their thinking and stuff. We have to think in a different way also, because everybody is out there doing some things. So it's something that's going on in our country, and we know it's happening. So, hey, if that man figured he can get away with it until his 2 years is up, then that's fine. And if he thinks that he can make enough money off of his constituents and stuff, and they don't rise up and say anything, then it's our fault.
Absolutely.
We allow him to do it, because if you vote, if you put somebody in office and he is not working to your benefit, and hey, pal, you got 2 years. And if you go back in there and you act a fool or whatever, we're going to take you out. So if he has a fear of losing his job, because instead of him saying, well, I can make $2 million if I go with the lobbyists, but my regular salary is $179,000, plus benefits. Plus benefits and all the other stuff. So, we have to hold these people accountable for being there in office. And if we don't hold them accountable, then that's our fault. So we have to deal with that. One other thing, Ted, that I needed, there's about 3 other things that I wanted to talk about and stuff here. Hurricane Florence.
Oh, you was reading my mind.
Man, it is, there are so many things and stuff happening with those people there in North Carolina. Well, mostly it was based in North Carolina because they got the brunt of the whole damage. South Carolina got some of it, but not as bad as North Carolina has, and what's going on with that. And I did an article and stuff about the hogs and the chickens and stuff and everything, farms and stuff, who are creating a toxic environment out there because of their waste and stuff being overflowed with water, and their waste and stuff going into the groundwater and to the rivers and stuff nearby. But there are other industries and stuff over there that's creating even more of a problem. And they have a nuclear plant over there that provides electricity and stuff for them. And they have these pits over there that they hold their nuclear wastewater and stuff in. And those things have been there.
Lord have mercy.
They've been breached. And now they're saying they're flying, some of these environmentalists are flying over these rivers and stuff around where this nuclear plant and stuff is, and they're saying there's waste and stuff that's coming out of their pits and stuff flowing down the river, heading straight to Wilmington, North Carolina.
And you know where majority of people live down there.
Absolutely. And it is, man, it is creating such a big problem and stuff for them that it's, you know, they're still are having problems and stuff. People still can't get to their home because their places are still flooded and stuff.
They got bridges broken down. They got a
Yeah.
bunch of bridges broken down. People can't even get through. And
yeah, and then you got our president. And man, I was, well, I didn't see him, but he was going down there. He went down there, and you can hear him on the news, little snippets and stuff. So we're gonna make you guys whole. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do that. And he giving these people false hopes and everything, telling them, you know, perk up, perk up, perk up. How the heck you gonna perk up and be happy
and you done lost everything?
When you lost everything.
Lost everything.
There is no compassion and stuff there with this man. And there was another thing, you know, about Jennifer Lewis and stuff. She was sitting out there. I had talked about her earlier. They asked her about Trump and everything, and she said, "I feel sorry for him." And the people and stuff, even the commentators and stuff who had her there, said, "Why are you feeling sorry for him? He's not doing anything." She said, "Well, he's sick." So the man is sick, and I feel sorry for him. He's sick. Look at him. She said, "Look at him. Look at him. He's sitting around there, running around there. He has no idea what the heck he's doing. And I think he's bipolar, or he got a problem in everything, or something going on with him, because nobody could do the things that he's doing without being sick. So I feel sorry for him."
Well, you know, think about this though, Ed. You know, and that's what you know, when you were talking, I was sort of kind of taking notes, and I was trying to figure out all the different disasters that has happened under his watch. And then some things maybe a little bit before, but he has not responded in a great deal to my knowledge. We're talking Houston, Puerto Rico, South Florida, Hawaii, and Detroit. This is the United States. And he has not responded to any international incidents that people having issues out there in certain parts of the country or the world. You know, usually our presidents say we're going to go out there and we're going to help people and we're going to get our volunteers, or we got a different group of unit of people that's going to go to where they're having problems in Japan, certain parts of Japan and Philippines and all of that. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. And we're going to, you know, basically he's got a team of people in all these different areas of volunteers or people that, you know, getting people out there to help the people to get over all of this devastation. But I don't hear it. Only thing I hear about is stupid stuff, you know.
Well, Ted, I think Jennifer is right, because who in their right mind is going to fight somebody because they said they death toll in Puerto Rico? They only got 70 people who died, but when they come out with the real figures, they say it was over 3,000 people who died because of the Hurricane Maria, and he gets upset. They don't know what they're talking about. This is fake news. What? He's sick, Ted. He's sick. He got to be, man. You fighting over dead people. You know, if 3,000 of them died, okay. You know, deal with it. Don't sit there and fight somebody. No, that's not right. You gave me the wrong number. And the whole thing, Ted, started out when he first got elected. He's still fighting almost a year later and stuff about how many people came to his inauguration. he paying people to tell the country that he had the biggest inauguration in the world at any time in this country.
The caveat with that is that they raised more money than ever than any other for any other inauguration. And then the guy that was supposed to be running it, they say that he didn't misuse some of the funds.
That don't surprise me.
Because, you know, people been trying to say, well, you know, he had, you know, pretty close to maybe, you know, 3/4 of what President Obama had. And then the point is, is that and you only spent a certain amount of money. Where's the rest of the money?
They don't know, and they still don't know. But somebody knows because they put it in their pocket and they done spent that money, or they done gave it that, or they done took the money and put it into Trump's campaign fund, defense fund, so he can dove it out however he wanted to dove it out and everything. Because if they had as many people as he said that he had and stuff there, you wouldn't have had any money left in their coffers. But they had an untold amount, something like $29 million or something like that, still left over in the fund that he had because they didn't have enough money to spend it. There were people and stuff who didn't come because they were invited and said, "Well, I'm not coming there because I'm protesting this man's election." It's man, it is so much stuff that's happening.
They didn't have half as many parties, you know, and what have you. I don't think he went to no more than 2 or 3 of them, and they didn't have half as many parties, you know. And usually presidents go to try to make as many as they can,
and they are big deals and stuff for the people and stuff who go there. There are people are looking out. I remember
supporters,
I remember Obama went and everything, and his wife and everything, and they went to several of them and everything, man. And those were huge events, man.
Huge,
people talking about how him and his wife were, and they went out and danced and telling people to enjoy themselves. Man, there were people around the world who were sitting there waiting on his thing and his inauguration going on. So what that man is thinking about, I have no idea. And why he feels that he has to be better than somebody else and using these silly situations and stuff to prove that he is better than someone. It's just, he's sick. And like she said, the man is sick. Now, I don't feel sorry for him, but I know he's sick.
But you know, this is the thing, you know, it's almost like now somebody is being paid off in some of these newspapers, and they are bringing out fake news for real. I mean, I'm going to use one, and then I know you can take off on another one. I just read an article that the headline is that Obama was weak with Iran, but Trump is tough and he's winning. Basically, I'm paraphrasing. And they use the articles and talk about, you know, by breaking off on that contract that they had with Iran was the best thing that he could have done. And now all of a sudden, Iran is, you know, they got all kinds of little things against them. You know, you can't buy this, you can't buy that. We're not going to buy this. And now what's going on is that they claim that he's winning with Iran because all the other countries are falling in line with 45. And they was dogging the Secretary of State at that time and President Obama. So that's what happened. And then the second one, fake article, was in the New York Times talking about the guy supposedly had made some kind of sarcastic thing. You know, what I should have did was, you know how you just say stuff off the top, and somebody must have heard him. You know, I should have just taped him, you know, so we could do Amendment 25 on him, you know, probably, you know, because he was probably sick of his mess at that time too. And so now they're saying that that's the reason to fire him, because he's not denying that he didn't say it. He was just saying that he said it in jest, or he was being sarcastic or whatever. So now you got these news people that's bringing out stuff, any little thing that they can to cause chaos. And some of these journalists that's out there, they're using it against other, you know, people. You know, what I mean is they're trying to use it to his advantage when people are not being serious or maybe being sarcastic about it and certain things, you know, just like that article in Iran about Iran. So I don't know. I think it's so many people that is getting paid, getting kinds of getting payoffs or getting favors. They want favors down the road, and that's what's going on. And so now, because they see that this 45 got a lot of pull. He got a lot of pull, man, in high places. But at the same time, I'm reading articles that they claim, I don't know how true this is, all the billionaires have stopped giving to the Republican Party because they don't like the way 45 is acting. So what is that about? They saying that 45 is not acting like a Republican, but they have given millions and millions and millions of dollars. So you got all this stuff going on, man, and I'll tell you, and it's getting deep. It's getting deep.
Now, Ted, we're gonna again try to tie in this stuff here. And I'm going to come out, I'm going to say these few little words here and everything, and then I'm going to piggyback off of all that. Negative news drives the market.
Say that again.
Negative news drives the market.
Right, right.
Negative news drives the market. Now, you brought out the fact that these news outlets and stuff are in competition. New York Times, Wall Street Journal, all of them are sitting out there, and their top people and stuff are saying we have what we can sell. Well, the article that you're talking about that the New York Times put out, if you really look at it, it's true, because he did say it, but he said that wasn't derogatory or anything. Somebody picked up and they said he said it. The other news outlets come up and said, yeah, there were people who we got who were inside there who were listening to this whole thing and said it was being said in a sarcastic manner, or they were in a meeting and stuff and everything where ideas around, and these were one of the ideas that popped out. So they're taking this man's words and stuff that didn't mean anything, putting it out there and not giving the complete narrative and stuff on it, because it's negative news. And when the New York Times come out with it, bam, it hits the news article, and there are people out there who are going to read their stuff.
Yep.
The same thing is going on there with Iran. Yes, you're right. There are people and stuff, companies out there who are divesting themselves from it because the U.S. and stuff decided to get away from Iran. But no one is saying anything else about the other companies and the other nations and stuff who are still supporting this nuclear agreement that they have with Iran to hold them back. And they're still sitting out there. There are countries and stuff who are still supporting it, and they have not divested themselves from Iran.
Right. And Iran is still under the nuclear thing.
Right. And it may look like Trump is getting some things. He's getting little tidbits of stuff and everything. So they're going out, find these little tidbits because it's to their advantage to say this. So if they can bring it out, then hey, I can sell, because I'm saying that it's working, and other people around the world know it's not. Russia knows it's not working. They still dealing with them. Syria still dealing with them and everything. They still got business going on with them, and some of the European Union countries still got business and stuff going on with them. There's still companies who are still sitting over there in Iran and looking at them. They want that oil. And they're getting it.
That's absolutely right.
And you're looking at North Korea. Oh, Trump went over there in North Korea. Oh man, and we're gonna get nuclear disarmament and everything. They're gonna start bringing down their nuclear thing. Well, Kim Jong-un ain't said nothing about divesting himself from his nuclear programs he got. Only thing he doing is he gave Trump some ashes, some bones and stuff from some soldiers who died over there in North Korea. He pacified him, but they still doing business. Their country is now doing better now. The people in North Korea, all they consider, that 23 million people are doing better now, because now they got China and Russia and everybody else coming over there, giving them oil. They got their ships rolling out the harbor going out into the middle of the ocean and stuff and everything, the South China Sea or whatever, and they loading up their boats and stuff with oil and diesel fuel, whatever they need, and they bringing it back to their countries and offloading it into their country now because Trump opened the door for them to do it.
Yeah.
But nobody's saying anything about that unless you go out and you read between the lines, or you go out and read other news articles that's going on that show that what's happening and stuff is really not true. And that and things are, and we are made to look like a fool and stuff out there in the world now. And nobody is saying a whole lot about it, but China is becoming more and more and more of a powerhouse, and the dollar is becoming a lot weaker.
You mentioned China, man, and this here is my next subject, because let me tell you this. China is taking over Africa. Now, Africa, we know, is a continent and has many, many countries. However, they are taking country by country, investing. They are investing in certain countries and taking it. And they've been doing this for many, many, many years, but they are really doing some things. And the reason why China can do this, and they set up these companies, is because China has allowed some of these companies to do it, because, you know, they're under what they call as an enterprise society, you know, like the government and the company is cahoots together. And so therefore, if you know, they sort of kind of put that money together, and then they go in and they go out and invest in different things that they want. And then they sort of kind of quietly take over certain parts of wherever they want to go. You know, just like they've done that in Los Angeles. They're doing it all parts around the country here in this United States. Now they have really started penetrating Africa. And the reason why is because they are taking those monies that they have, using their population, not paying them. That goes right down to the bottom line. When you have cheap labor, you don't have benefits. They treat their people like slaves, almost, and they sit there and they make all this money bringing in these international corporations from America. And what do? They sit there and then they take that money and invest it in other areas and other parts of the world. And so they, you know, China really, people are really, a lot of them are really kind of bad off, but is a certain population that are doing very well. And so the bottom line is that they have a certain mix of people, and then nobody really knows. I don't know. I'm not that astute. I've done some study of China, but there are different, just like the United States, there's different tribes. The difference here is that you have particulars, you know, Asian, African American, all of that kind of stuff. Just, you know, and you have different tribes here. But over there in China, I'm sure they have the same thing. A certain tribe that doing the cheap labor. And that's what's going on right now. And then you have a certain tribe that's in China that's getting the bulk of the money and getting these starting these big time corporations. And they're investing all over the world. And they're really investing in Africa.
You have to always remember, Ted, there was one of the prime ministers there in England during World War II, Churchill, used to come out with all these dynamic sayings and stuff that people didn't realize what the heck he was talking about. But sometimes you have to listen to what folks have to say, and because there is some deep meaning and stuff behind it. And he always brought this thing up. The further you can look back, further you can look into the future. You're seeing now that China is becoming the 16th century and 17th century England. You remember back then what England and stuff did. They went and did what? And Portugal did the same thing. They went out and they got their people and put them on ships, and they colonize different parts of the world.
Yep.
They took their thing and they colonized all these people out there. Well, China is now in a phase of a modern colonization and stuff of the world. They're putting their influence into all of these countries and continents and stuff out there. They are, and you're right, they are taking billions of dollars and they're giving these African countries and stuff that's inside the continent billions of dollars, and they're having an influence and stuff in what goes on in these countries and stuff because they need the tentacles and stuff out there to help to bring back, you know,
resources
tenfold of what they're going to have, whether it's their resources, the iron, diamonds, whatever they've got and stuff in these African countries. They know that they're going to be able to get this back because they have put this money out there and colonized these folks out there and told them and stuff. So, well, instead of giving you the money and stuff and everything, you got to pay it back. They're saying to them, some of this money and stuff, you don't have to pay back. But they want, like you said, they want favors and stuff for giving them this money and stuff out there. And they taking a chance because they may get it back and they may not. But they got a lot of money, a lot of capital that they can go out there and do this. And so far, they have been successful in doing this and bringing extra money and stuff back to their country, bringing value and stuff back to China, bringing value back into a lot of their oligarchs and stuff, because they got oligarchs over there in China also. They got people,
plenty of them.
You know, look at Jack Ma, you know, the guy who started the Alibaba. You know, this man is worth billions of dollars and everything now. He's getting ready to retire. But anyway, getting back to that, that's what's going on and stuff there. And we, as a country and stuff, United States, because of the policies that are being acted by our president and our administration and the people and stuff who were sitting there in Washington, D.C., who are in control of what's going on, have allowed them to get a foothold, and which makes them become more powerful. Because when England went out and they did all their colonization, they became a very, 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 very powerful nation because of that. And now China is doing the same thing. They've taken that page out of the history books and brought it to the 21st century. And that's what they're doing. So I don't have a problem and stuff with them doing it. I'm just wondering and stuff what our country is going to do to counteract this colonization that China is doing and stuff and everything. And because there's competition out there, and there's constant.
Let me just say this though, and this right here is sort of kind of, and you know, I'm way out there, so I'm gonna just put it out there. This is the deal, man. If you think about it, okay, and this, to me, I think, you know, a lot of people might not give African Americans, Black people, a lot of credit. However, this is what I think. Because, and I say this until the cows go home, because United States has not fully invested in the Black race, they are suffering right now. I mean, not to the extent that, you know, we're going under, but in my mind, because they did not invest in the Black race, I'm talking about an education, fully invested in education, because there are so many Black people have risen to the top, cream of the crop, and who knows how many would have made it or still trying to make it if they would have really had an open society. Because those people come up with different ideas, different scenarios, they might have different whatever. But they have been limited to capital, they have been limited to these types of things because of redlining and all of these things. Okay, I'm gonna say it until the cows come home, because now you got China, you got Russia, you have the Iranians, you have all these other countries coming over here, and some of them, and they people are supporting these people to support them in the United States, and they're being successful. So what I'm saying is that that talent, those skills that would have been raised up, if there would have been like an even level playing field, those people would have went out to the other parts of the country, the world, I should say, like in all of these other countries, and came in and invested in there, and then the American way would have been spread on a proper level, not by violence, but by negotiations, by trading and what have you, and by creating products and what have you. So this is what I'm saying. This is the reason why we are in the shape that we're in right now, because of the unfair playing field and the what I call the propaganda, the negative propaganda. The negative propaganda. So yeah, you hear these people, man. Some of these people in China and in certain parts of the world can't even speak English, man. Can't even communicate, but yet still all of a sudden they got a business, they got this, they got that going on, and blah blah blah. So I say that, you know, they just chose the wrong group of people to mess with. And that's the African American person that descended of slaves. They messed with the wrong people. They messed with the wrong people, Ed. I'm telling you, man. They tried to make us out of continuous slaves, just like in certain parts of their country. If you do the research, certain parts of their country, they have slaves too, you know, but they didn't call them slaves. You understand?
No, I don't understand at all.
Okay, all right. I'm telling you.
I don't understand at all.
I'm telling you, man, in certain parts of the world,
Black
they have slaves too.
Black people, stop blaming white folks for your fault.
Okay, well, you go and preach your preach. I'm gonna preach
Black
my preach.
people, stop blaming white people for your fault. And I say that and stuff, Ted. You know, we've talked about this even before we put the telecast on. How much money goes through our community in a year?
Well, when you're talking all that, we're talking over $1 trillion.
Absolutely. Stop blaming white folks for your fault, because all we have to do, Ted, is go out and do exactly what other folks are doing. They got almost $1 trillion going into their pockets through our community in a year. That's a lot of money, Ted.
Yes, it is.
That's a lot of money. Stop blaming white folks. Stand up and start using your capital for your benefit.
We've been suckered, man.
One of the reasons, there is the reason that we have to stop blaming other folks, Ted, because we today and stuff have enough capital to do whatever we want to do in our community. All we have to do is invest that capital into the things that is going to make our community better. We are not doing it. That money stays in our hand about how long? About 10 seconds. And it's gone.
Yeah. It goes right, because like, think about this.
Right out of our community. Wait a minute. It goes out of our community so fast.
Hey, if you have a mortgage that's not paid for, who's that money going to? You paying a mortgage, you might say, I own this house. No, you don't own that house. you paying a mortgage to certain people. If you paying rent, who that rent going to? You getting paying rent to certain people. If you got a car, who are you paying? Who are you paying that condo to?
Ted.
So it's not staying in the
it can go to the people in your community who own the car company. It can go to your people who own the mortgage company.
But
why don't we own the mortgage company? We can,
but we don't.
We can. We got enough capital to do it. You got enough capital to do it, Ted.
All I hear is talk. Hey, look. All I hear is talk. Let's start a credit union. Let's start a bank. Let's do this and let's do that.
Fine. So stop blaming the white man. Blame yourself, because you have the ability to do that. We have the ability to do that. Stop blaming the white man. The white man ain't giving us this. He ain't supposed to give you nothing. You open the door and get it yourself.
And then on top of that,
it's what we learned, Ted, when we were growing up.
James Brown.
And I get it myself. All you got to do is open the door. You got to give me nothing. Open the door and I get it myself. That's the philosophy that we need to have right now.
You got communities right now that don't even have a grocery store within a 5
Absolutely.
block, 6 block,
and
7 block
whose
radius.
fault is that? Ours. That's our fault. It ain't the white man's fault because we ain't got it. It ain't them daggone Asians and stuff who own the grocery store in our community. It ain't the daggone Arabs and stuff who own the motels and hotels in our community. It ain't them who own the filling station in our community.
No, it's the people from India own the hotels and motels.
Okay, then whatever. They ain't black. That's all I'm saying. They own it. That's our fault. We used to. We used to own the grocery store. Joe go down there, that brother down there, he got the grocery store. He owned it. We don't own it no more.
Yeah.
We don't. That's our fault. We don't own our own property.
Well, the word that I want to use, the word I want to use is solidarity. I'm gonna keep using that word. I love that word, solidarity. You know, when black folks start getting, using, solidarity, coming together as a group, whether you agree or disagree, it don't matter. As long as you do things in a civil manner, sit down, get on a whiteboard and figure things out and have a game plan in every community, every city. We need solidarity, man. And, just greedy people, and I was talking to my son this morning. He was telling me, it's just like a crabs in a barrel. Everybody trying to get a piece.
Everybody's trying to grab each other and pull them back down. And that's going on all the time, Ted. Every day we see it going on. We pulling somebody down. You see somebody doing good and stuff, and the first thing we want to do and stuff is talk negative against them. Oh, they think he's something else. He ain't supposed to be doing this. They ain't supposed to be doing that. Hey, man, if I see somebody doing great, I'm clapping my hand. Hey, good on. Go ahead on, my brother. You keep on going because it's going to make me better if you better.
That's right. Don't be scared of competition, afraid of competition.
Absolutely. Don't be afraid of somebody out there who got some of the same stuff. Hey, man, I'm for you. I'm your cheerleader.
That's right.
If you got some, that means everybody you're gonna pass some of that stuff back into our community and make sure that we okay. So anyway, Mr. Harvey, we about at the end about telegram, man. We've gone way over, man. It's been great. I've enjoyed this thing today.
I mean, this is better fly, bro. I think we do better fly. All right, bro. Anyway, we're gonna tell everybody.
We'll see you. Yeah, we'll see you guys and stuff on Wednesday evening, and I hope Mr. Harvey will have his thing set up because he's planning on making a move. So I'm hoping that he will have his little studio set up because he's moving to a new location. People,
we'll be good.
He decided to get rid of his Papa daycare. So anyway, we'll see you guys on Wednesday. Bye-bye.
Spent the night just trying to find you. You the hottest one under the sun, and I'm under your spell. We stuck just like glue. You ain't got the free crib, oh well. You and me can head to the hotel. Whatever we do, just don't tell. I don't need anybody all on my coattail. I feel your energy and I ain't trying to fight it. Your vibe is way too exciting. I know I'm who you wanna ride with. Don't fake it, I know that you like it.
It's more than just emotions. I'm getting more emotions. All you gotta do is focus. Not what you used to, but you like it. But you like it. Ooh, yeah. I've been out here looking for you. Just something special, man.
Get up on my roller coaster. Get inside my